welcome to the debate. When you purchase a home, there is this deep comfort in the precision of the numbers. You calculate the down payment, lock in the interest rate, and budget the property taxes down to the exact penny.
Right. It feels like an engineering schematic.
Exactly. It feels safe. But then you consider the mechanical heartbeat of that home, the 12-year-old heat pump, the aging water heater, the complex web of kitchen appliances. Suddenly, that precise schematic just vanishes.
Yeah, you are no longer looking at clean numbers. You are listening to an invisible ticking clock, waiting for something expensive to fail.
Right. So today we are pulling apart the findings from Teresa Overcash's 2026 Triad Real Estate and Home Warranty Reports. We are looking at a deeply polarizing question. When you buy a house in North Carolina, is a home warranty a vital financial safety net or a rigged game built on hidden exclusions that leaves buyers stranded?
And it really is a rigged game. I will argue that the underlying nature of these contracts, relying heavily on technical escape hatches, low payout caps, and a shockingly weak regulatory environment, makes self-insurance the definitively superior choice for any homeowner who wants actual peace of mind.
And I will argue that when navigated strategically, these contracts provide a highly rational, necessary shield against unpredictable mechanical collapse. Let's start by clarifying exactly what this product is, because, well, a lot of consumer anger comes from completely misaligned expectations.
Oh, definitely. People think it is homeowners insurance.
Yes, and it is not. Homeowners insurance covers sudden, catastrophic perils like a tree crashing through your roof or a pipe bursting and flooding the kitchen. A home warranty is completely different. It is a service contract for the slow, inevitable death of your major systems through ordinary wear and tear.
Which sounds great in theory, but...
Well, hold on. Let me lay out the baseline in the Triad market right now. You pay an annual premium of roughly $450 to $1,400 depending on your tier. When a system breaks, you pay a service fee of maybe $75 to $125 to have a tech come out. By paying those two known figures, you effectively place a ceiling on a bad month.
Right, a theoretical ceiling. But it is incredibly crucial in North Carolina. Our long, sticky summers mean HVAC systems run hard from May through September. Heating and air failures are the #1 claim by a massive margin. So if you are buying a pre-2005 home with aging ductwork, or if you are relocating from out of town and do not have a local network of contractors, this contract is a strategic buffer.
Sure, and if you receive it as a $500 to $700 seller concession at closing, meaning you didn't even pay the premium, the return on investment is overwhelmingly positive.
I mean, that framing makes it sound like a guaranteed fix, but a safety net only matters if it actually catches you when you fall. The cost-benefit analysis you just outlined is entirely undercut by the reality of the fine print and, well, the industry's profit model.
How so? The math is the math.
Because these companies do not make money by replacing expensive HVAC systems. They make money by collecting premiums and limiting payouts. And they limit those payouts through a maze of exclusions. We are talking about strict contract clauses that deny claims for pre-existing conditions, code upgrades, pest damage, improper installation.
Well, every contract has boundaries.
Sure, but you aren't activating a simple financial safeguard when you file a claim. You are entering a negotiation with a massive corporation designed to minimize your payout.
You keep bringing up these massive exclusions, but that ignores how the math actually works if you hit a worst-case scenario with a covered claim. Consider a standard HVAC compressor replacement in the Triad in 2026.
Okay, let's look at the compressor.
Without a warranty, a homeowner is looking at a typical out-of-pocket cost of $3,500 to $5,000. Now run that same scenario with a standard warranty plan. The homeowner has paid a $600 annual premium and a $100 service fee. Total expenditure is $700.
Wait, assuming they cover it completely?
Right, assuming a covered replacement. The warranty company covers the rest, saving the homeowner anywhere from $2,800 to $4,300. Think of it like buying a financial shock absorber for an aging Winston-Salem ranch home. It doesn't prevent the pothole, but it stops the axle from breaking your bank account. For a system nearing the end of its life, that protection is undeniable.
But that shock absorber logic completely falls apart when you actually look at a standard coverage limit. You are quoting the theoretical maximum savings, but ignoring the actual contractual caps that trap consumers every day.
The caps are clearly stated in the contract, though.
But people don't realize how low they are. You mentioned the HVAC compressor. Let's talk about the single most important number in these contracts, the HVAC coverage cap. The Overcash report is explicitly clear on how this functions. Let's say your entire system needs replacing, which is a $7,000 job.
Right.
If you purchased a plan that caps heating and air payouts at $1,500, the warranty company cuts a check for $1,500. You are immediately on the hook for the remaining $5,500. Add in your premium and service fee, and you have spent $6,200 out of pocket anyway.
Well, yes, if you buy a low-tier plan.
Typically gives you replacement cost. If your roof burns down, they pay for a new roof. Warranties often use actual cash value. AFC Home Club, for instance, boasts one of the best repair guarantees in the business.
They do. They back parts and labor for the entire length of the contract.
Exactly. But their payout math on a total failure is based on the current depreciated value of your old appliance. If your 15-year-old dishwasher dies, the depreciation schedule dictates that its current actual cash value is practically zero.
I mean, it is a 15-year-old dishwasher.
So they offer you a $30 payout toward a $600 replacement. The coverage exists on paper, but in reality, it is a ghost.
I think you are describing a consumer who blindly buys the cheapest plan without reading the coverage limits. The existence of an HVAC cap or a depreciation clause doesn't invalidate the concept of a home warranty. It simply requires the consumer to be an informed participant in the market.
But the market is actively confusing them.
The data explicitly tells us how to avoid that trap, though. You verify the HVAC cap before you hand over your credit card. First American Home Warranty, for example, has appliance limits that reach $7,000 per item on their top plan.
If you pay for the top tier.
Yes, you pay for the tier you need. Acosta Home Warranty offers a $25,000 total annual limit across the board. If you know that North Carolina summers put immense strain on HVAC units, you don't buy a low-tier plan from Cinch Home Services with a $1,500 cap. You buy the upgraded caps. If you match the plan to the risk, the protection holds firm.
Upgrading the cap doesn't matter if the claim is completely denied, and this leads directly to the mechanism these companies use to protect their margins, the internal claims process.
The exclusions list.
Right. The source material highlights the 4 phrases that kill claims: pre-existing conditions, improper installation, rust and corrosion, and lack of maintenance. Notice that not one of these phrases is about whether the unit is actually broken.
No, they are about why it broke.
Exactly. And who gets to decide the why? The technician dispatched by the warranty company. That is an inherent conflict of interest. The company sends a captive contractor whose livelihood depends on staying in the good graces of the warranty network.
Look, the companies need a mechanism to ensure they aren't paying for years of severe neglect. If a homeowner has never changed an air filter in 5 years and the motor burns out, that isn't ordinary wear and tear. That is abuse. The warranty provider cannot be expected to underwrite deferred maintenance.
Filtering out actual abuse is one thing, but look at how that power is wielded in practice. It goes far beyond neglect. Look at the $11.8 million consumer fraud judgment entered against Choice Home Warranty in Arizona in January 2026.
That was a specific extreme case.
This wasn't a few unhappy customers. This was a systemic business practice. Homeowners described situations where the contractor came out, diagnosed an ordinary wear and tear failure, the exact thing the contract covers, and submitted it to the portal.
Okay, but
Let me finish this point, because then a desk adjuster sitting 1,000 miles away deliberately overrode their own technician's report to reclassify the failure into an exclusion, often citing lack of maintenance without ever seeing the unit.
wow.
One man's air conditioner died in 108-degree heat. Because of this bureaucratic override, he had to pay $2,700 out of his own pocket to get his family out of danger. The Attorney General's office found over 1,500 similar complaints. When the warranty company holds the sole power to interpret the technical cause of a failure, the product ceases to be a safety net.
That Arizona case is appalling, I agree. But you are treating it like an unavoidable destiny for every homeowner, which isn't the case. The Overcash report doesn't just list these industry problems, it provides a very clear roadmap for defeating these exact tactics.
By jumping through hoops.
By being prepared. Let's take lack of maintenance, since that is a primary friction point. How do you beat a desk adjuster trying to use that excuse? You keep a physical folder of your yearly HVAC tune-up receipts.
Most people do not have that.
But they should. When the adjuster tries to claim neglect, you produce a paper trail from a licensed technician showing annual professional servicing. The denial crumbles because you have documented proof of care.
That is a lot of work for a supposedly simple product.
Furthermore, the market has evolved to offer solutions to the captive contractor problem. Look at Achosa Home Warranty. Their entire business model bypasses the captive network. They allow homeowners to hire their own trusted local licensed technician. You aren't reliant on a company dispatch.
Which is rare.
Rare but available. For a buyer out in the high country or Wilkes County, where a corporate network might consist of one overworked contractor an hour away, the ability to use your own person shifts the power dynamic completely back to the consumer.
It shouldn't be a part-time job to get a covered claim approved, though. If you have to demand your own technician's written diagnosis to contradict a corporate denial and then formally petition the company to reconcile it in writing just to force a payout, you are essentially working as an unpaid insurance adjuster.
I wouldn't call it a part-time job.
It absolutely is. And what about rust and corrosion? That is excluded by a vast majority of providers. If a compressor quits on a 10-year-old unit, finding a speck of rust inside the casing is an incredibly convenient cover for a denial.
Which is exactly why you read the exclusions and choose the right provider for your specific house. American Home Shield explicitly covers undetectable pre-existing conditions, and their top plans cover failures caused by rust, corrosion, and sediment damage.
If you buy the top plan.
Yes. On a 1970s Winston-Salem ranch home, that specific coverage is genuinely invaluable. First American also covers breakdowns caused by rust and corrosion, and even offers an upgrade option covering problems resulting from bad installations by previous owners. The solutions exist. You just have to read the contract before you buy it.
When those disputes inevitably arise, when the consumer insists it is wear and tear, and the company insists it is a pre-existing condition, we have to look at the legal reality of what happens next. In North Carolina, consumers have almost no leverage because of a massive regulatory vacuum.
Well, I wouldn't say no leverage.
You noted earlier that these are not insurance products. Under North Carolina General Statute 66-370, they are classified as service agreements. That distinction is critical. True insurance companies are bound by strict state laws. They have to hold massive cash reserves to guarantee payouts, and they can be sued for bad faith claim denials.
Right.
By legally classifying a home warranty as a service agreement, these corporations sidestep the Department of Insurance's enforcement division. The insurance commissioner cannot force a warranty company to pay a claim or fine them for bad faith.
They aren't entirely unregulated, though. The Department of Insurance still registers them.
But they do not police the claim denials. When Choice Home Warranty or Select Home Warranty denies a valid claim, the Department of Insurance just forwards the consumer's complaint to the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. The consumer is literally told to call 1-877-5-NO-SCAM.
Okay, but that is a legitimate hotline.
When your regulatory recourse for a broken air conditioner is an anti-fraud hotline, the product is severely compromised. And the legislature knows this. In February 2025, a bipartisan group of legislators filed the Home Warranty Act, House Bill 203.
I remember that bill.
It was explicitly designed to tighten disclosure requirements and put real enforcement authority behind the oversight of these companies. It passed first reading, got sent to the Rules Committee, and died. It has not moved. The state looked at the problem and walked away.
That happens in legislation all the time.
But this lack of oversight means anyone with the financial discipline to self-insure should absolutely do so. If you can maintain a $5,000 to $10,000 reserve for home repairs, putting that money in a high-yield savings account is superior to handing $800 to a company like Select Home Warranty that holds a 1.7-star BBB rating.
Assuming you have the 10 grand just sitting there.
Right. But with self-insurance, there are no exclusions, no waiting periods, and no arguing with a call center. You just hire the best local plumber and pay him.
A healthy emergency fund is always advisable. I will give you that. But you were painting North Carolina law as a complete dead zone for consumers, which isn't accurate. There is a very real built-in protection under state law.
Which is?
Warranty companies operating in North Carolina must back their obligations with a surety bond or an insurance policy from an authorized carrier. This means that even if a warranty company folds, goes bankrupt, or vanishes, an actual regulated insurance carrier is legally on the hook for your covered claims and any unearned premium.
But you still have to fight for the claim.
Yes, but consumers can verify this registration directly through the state before ever writing a check. But more importantly, you are isolating the product from where it actually shines, the real estate transaction itself. Look at the North Carolina Offer to Purchase and Contract, Form 2T.
The real estate contract doesn't change the terms of the warranty.
It changes the psychology and the financial burden of the transaction. Form 2T has a home warranty section built right into it. A buyer can ask for a 1-year warranty, and the seller agrees to pay it at closing out of their proceeds.
Okay, yes.
For $500 to $700, the seller buys an incredibly clean, cheap concession. It prevents a wildly expensive post-closing dispute. The seller sleeps at night knowing they won't get an angry phone call or a lawsuit over a broken HVAC 3 months after the buyer moves in.
True.
And the buyer gets a year of protection and a 24-hour phone number to call when something breaks in a house they are just learning how to operate. When you use reputable, established providers like Old Republic Home Protection, which was built specifically for real estate deals and boasts an A+ Better Business Bureau rating that it has held for over 25 years, the system functions exactly as intended. It smooths out the friction of buying a home.
It certainly smooths out the friction for the real estate agents who just want to get everyone to the closing table with a smile. The seller pays the $600 out of their equity and washes their hands of the aging house. But the buyer is the one left holding the bag in month 7 when the AC fails and the exclusions kick in.
Not if they used a reputable company.
You praise the seller concession, but look at the companies aggressively targeting that exact space. The Overcash report explicitly warns agents about the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, or RESPA. This is a federal law designed to stop kickbacks. Warranty companies aggressively court real estate agents with marketing perks, sponsored lunches, and subtle incentives to get agents to write their specific warranty company into the closing documents.
Which is illegal, and reputable agents do not do it.
But the pressure is there. Look at Home Warranty of America, HWA. They market incredibly hard to real estate agents, offering attractive listing coverage to grease the wheels of the sale. But HWA is owned by Choice Home Warranty.
Ah, the Arizona case.
Yes, the exact same company that absorbed the $11.8 million fraud judgment in Arizona. Their own contract reserves the sole right to pick the service provider and explicitly states they are not liable for failing to get service to you on time.
Well, that is definitely a problematic clause.
A homeowner in the report discovered that exact clause during a June 26 outage in 90-plus degree heat with 2 babies in the house. The agent got a smooth closing, the seller got away clean, and the buyer got an unenforceable promise from an overwhelmed call center.
Which is exactly why buyers must review the specific company being written into their contract. You are pointing to the bad actors to condemn the entire concept.
I'm pointing to major players in the industry.
Yes, Choice and Howa have severe documented issues. Yes, Select Home Warranty requires you to report a claim within 3 days or risk losing it entirely. But highlighting the worst options doesn't invalidate Old Republic's 25-year A+ rating. It doesn't invalidate ACOSA's model of letting you bypass the corporate dispatch and hire your own technician.
I still say it's too much of a burden.
The value of the contract is determined by the consumer's willingness to engage with the text. Read the exclusions list before the coverage list. Confirm the HVAC cap in writing. Ask about renewal pricing, which often jumps 20 to 40% in year 2. If a buyer follows these evidence-based steps, a home warranty transitions from a blind gamble into a highly calculated shield against the financial shocks of homeownership.
I hear the logic of your strategy, but it requires the average consumer to act like a contract lawyer during the most stressful purchase of their life.
Not a lawyer, just an informed buyer.
But when a person is buying a home, they are already overwhelmed by inspections, appraisals, and mortgage underwriting. To ask them to then perform a forensic analysis of a poorly regulated service agreement to parse whether the HVAC cap varies by plan tier or whether rust is legally considered an undetectable pre-existing condition is an immense burden.
I get that.
The industry relies heavily on the fact that most people will not do that. They rely on the promotional rates, the glossy brochures, and the false comfort of the word warranty. For anyone who can afford it, maintaining a dedicated repair reserve is a far more transparent, reliable, and honest approach to home ownership.
Well, we have thoroughly mapped the boundaries of this issue. So, to summarize my position, I maintain that home warranties, when properly vetted, are a highly rational risk management tool. The data clearly shows that if you verify your coverage limits, understand the exclusions, and utilize the product primarily on pre-2005 homes or as a seller-paid concession at closing, it effectively mitigates predictable, severe financial shocks.
And to summarize my perspective, I maintain that the industry's deep reliance on technical exclusions, low payout caps, and a weak North Carolina regulatory framework means the product inherently favors the provider. Because the burden of proof is so heavy and the Department of Insurance cannot intervene in claim disputes, self-insurance remains a far more transparent and reliable strategy.
While we clearly maintain our disagreement on the baseline value of these service contracts, there is a vital point of convergence here.
Definitely.
Whether you view a home warranty as an essential safety net or a contractual maze, we both agree on the absolute necessity of reading the fine print. You must read the exclusions and the coverage caps before signing anything or accepting anything at the closing table.
Absolutely. The brochure is just marketing. The exclusions section is the actual product you are buying.
Examining consumer contracts from multiple perspectives allows us to strip away the marketing and understand the real financial mechanisms at play. There is even more nuanced insight to explore in the Overcash reports, particularly regarding how to leverage these warranties in real estate negotiation strategies.
It always pays to know exactly what you are bargaining for.
We began by talking about the mechanical heartbeat of a house and that invisible ticking clock of a failing heat pump. Whether you choose to muffle that ticking with a service contract or face it head-on with a fully funded savings account, the one thing you cannot do is pretend the clock isn't ticking. Thank you for joining us on The Debate.